I need to find a man who truly loves me, so get over it. My wife packed a suitcase to meet her dream man, but he never existed. It was all a trap by her coworker. Later she blamed me. You ruined my life. Now she begs to return, but the door stays closed. 6 months ago, my marriage went from a normal weekday routine to, well, you will see. Let's say it all started with a hotel charge, a coworker named Jack, and a rule I made very clear. This is how it all unfolded. I am Adrian. I am 31 years old, and I am a project manager. I am not rich, but I pay my bills, I have growing savings, and I rent an apartment in a good part of the city. Lucy, my wife, moved in with me a year ago when we both got new jobs. We had been married for 2 years at that time. No children, no rush. We had future plans, vaguely drawn out. Buy a house in a few years, maybe start a family when we were more financially stable. Our expenses were simple. Rent cost $16.50 a month, utilities about $200, and food around $400. We used a joint card for shared expenses, rent, bills, groceries, and each paid for personal things with our individual accounts. That avoided arguments about money because everything was clear. For me, systems are important. They keep everything in order. Lucy adapted quickly to the city. New job, new coworkers, new social life. I like seeing her happy. She is naturally more extroverted than I am. I enjoy a quiet night at home. She likes meeting new people. So when she started mentioning a coworker named Jack who she got along well with, I didn't think much of it. From how she described him, Jack was the fun guy at the office, the one who kept spirits high, made jokes, sent memes, organized birthday cards, that type of person. Jack and Lucy started going out with coworkers after work. Drinks, she said, or group dinners. I didn't question it. New city, new job. It made sense to make friends soon. I was glad she had someone to talk to, since my own job wasn't exactly a social hub. But comments started appearing that didn't sound right to me. Apparently, Jack made jokes about me through Lucy. They weren't direct insults, but things like, oh, Adrian doesn't go out much. It must be exhausting keeping the couch warm. Lucy repeated them to me as if they were simple jokes. I didn't react. What for? Then Lucy started bringing home ideas she got from Jack, things about relationships, like modern couples shouldn't be so dependent, like women should live fully before settling down too much. Nothing directed at me at first, but you could already tell which way the wind was blowing. Jack sent her podcasts and videos about freedom in relationships and not letting anyone hold you back. She shared them with me casually, as if it were just interesting content. I watched some, typical internet stuff, half self-help, half opinion disguised as truth. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be the controlling husband who gets upset because his wife has friends or new ideas, but I was attentive. A few weeks later, Lucy started talking about a guy Jack had introduced her to. Not in a meet my new friend way, but as if Jack wouldn't stop talking about him. Tall, fit, confident, a real man. From how she described him, it was obvious Jack was idealizing him. Lucy said sometimes everyone talked in a group chat, and little by little she started mentioning him separately, saying he was funny, that he had good energy. At the same time, I noticed Lucy was sending more messages. She smiled looking at her phone and turned it slightly when I walked by. Nothing big, but enough to note. Then came the hotel charge. I was reviewing our joint statement one night because the electricity bill seemed higher than normal. And there, between the electric company and the supermarket, was a charge for a hotel about 10 minutes from our house, $142.89. The date matched a day Lucy had said she would work late. I asked her directly. She didn't flinch. She said it was for a work event, that some coworkers had booked rooms so they wouldn't have to drive back. I nodded. Okay, that was it. No argument, no accusations, but in my head, the pieces started fitting together differently. A week later, Lucy invited me to meet her team after work. I accepted. We met at a bar near her office with large windows and loud music, since he was exactly the type who talks first and never listens. He called me the quiet one before I sat down. He asked if I ever let Lucy have fun, as if we were old friends sharing private jokes. I smiled and said, I manage projects for a living. Fun is a resource, not a myth. Jack laughed too loudly, as if he needed everyone to notice. Lucy laughed with him. It wasn't cruel, but she didn't stop him either. I observed the rest. Some coworkers looked uncomfortable and looked away. Jack kept throwing little hints. Real men don't plan their whole lives on spreadsheets. I shrugged, ordered water, and asked Lucy if she would come back with me or take a car. Jack smiled with an air of victory. I stored it in my memory. In the following days, Jack started tagging Lucy in online posts, typical stuff about being independent and some memes about boring couples. Nothing direct towards me, but close enough to be provocative. Lucy reacted with laughing emojis. I didn't comment. I muted his account and took screenshots. Lucy's schedule started to change. More late meetings, more team dinners. Always on the same nights, Jack posted photos with location tags near her office. She said they were networking events. I replied, great, and set a reminder to check the card statement at the end of the week. Notifications started appearing on her phone at home, names of group chats I didn't recognize. Jack was always in them. The messages sounded more like a performance than work. Some men don't know how to lead. Women shouldn't have to ask for things. Lucy responded with smileys, true, or haha. The tone wasn't work. It was Jack pulling the strings. The content escalated. Jack sent her links about finding yourself, not settling young, compatibility beyond routine. Lucy started quoting those phrases in small, unimportant arguments. Who forgot to take out the trash? If we should visit my brother next month. Suddenly, every trivial decision became a debate about freedom. It wasn't her way of speaking, it was his. Lucy's appearance changed for those supposed meetings. New blazer, new shoes, makeup on a Tuesday, as if it were a special occasion. She left the house with that determination of someone going to a place they consider important. I didn't comment. I checked the shared calendar. More blocks that just said, work stuff. Small charges started appearing on the joint card. Rides on transport apps that started 2 blocks from Jack's building. Dinners at places we had never been. A charge at a store that sells travel items in many sizes. Nothing was proof, but everything pointed in one direction. Jack kept hinting in group chats about a friend of his. I saw it over Lucy's shoulder. My boy would treat you right. He's tall, confident, knows what he wants. Still no name, just pieces. The foundation before the walls. Then Lucy mentioned him out loud. Mark. She said it as if she had just remembered, as if it were a minor detail. Tall, fit, confident, very funny. Always the same 3 adjectives. She said sometimes he was also in the group chat. I nodded and asked if she needed the charger. She passed it to me without looking up from her phone. At that point, I no longer needed intuition, I needed data. So when she fell asleep, I used her phone to link WhatsApp web with my computer. 2 minutes to scan the QR code, and everything was there. Weeks of messages. Jack preparing the ground. Mark intensifying. Lucy crossing lines that cannot be uncrossed. The plan in motion. The hotel. What to say if someone asked. I exported the threads, sorted them by date, and saved a clean copy. I checked the email. Afterwards, I found the confirmation of a hotel reservation 10 minutes from our house. The same provider name and the same amount I had seen on the card, $142.89. The date matched one of those work event blocks on the calendar. She had added it herself. I didn't confront her. I set the boundaries. The day arrived. Lucy came home early, showered. She took longer than usual with her hair. She wore perfume she never wore to work. The outfit was planned. The bag was packed with too much order for just a team dinner. She stood a moment by the door, as if she wanted to give me a speech. I didn't help her start it. I was at the table answering an email. The lunch plate already rinsed, the living room tidy. Everything looked like my life when I'm not chasing storms. Are you going out? I asked as I would on any normal day. Yes, something with the team. I might not come back tonight, she said looking at the lock. Not at me. I nodded. Okay, just so you know. If you leave for him, you don't come back here. The door will remain closed afterwards. She didn't hesitate much. I need this, she said. So get over it. Then go and get it. I replied, looking back at the screen. She left. I finished my email, loaded the dishwasher, set the alarm, and slept without leaving the phone face up on the nightstand. Day 1, no contact. Day 2, nothing. On the 3rd day, my phone rang with an office number I didn't recognize. It was HR from Lucy's company. A woman named Angela asked me if I could come by to talk about an incident. Her voice sounded tired, as if she had spent the morning in meetings. Sure, I said, and scheduled the time in my calendar. When HR called me, I thought it would be something about insurance papers or Lucy's benefits, but the woman said my name as if she expected me to already know what it was about. I didn't know. She asked me to come by after work to clarify a situation related to Lucy. I accepted. She didn't give details over the phone, just the time, the meeting room number, and a rehearsed polite tone. That day, Lucy didn't send a single message. I went to work as usual. I finished my tasks, and at 4:30, I walked to her building 2 blocks away. The receptionist directed me to go up. In the room, there were 3 people waiting for me, 2 from HR and a manager I didn't know. Lucy wasn't there. The woman leading the meeting introduced everyone and then asked me if I knew why they had called me. I said no. She exchanged a look with the manager before clasping her hands. Some messages were sent involving you using company devices and servers. There was also a conflict in the office that turned physical. Given that your name appears in those messages, we must notify you and obtain context. I kept my face neutral. What messages? I asked. The manager explained that messages had come to light in the company's systems mentioning my name and my personal life. They didn't show me the chats, just summarized the relevant part, that Lucy and Jack used work devices to coordinate personal plans involving me, and that there was a confrontation in the office after discovering the deception. They asked if I wanted to offer any context for their records. I kept it simple. It seems my wife was planning to cheat on me with someone named Mark using your systems to coordinate it. That is all the context. The manager's jaw tightened as if he already knew, but had to pretend it was new. Then, the other HR representative added, there was a fight yesterday between Lucy and Jack. It escalated quickly. Security had to intervene. That's why we are acting quickly. What caused it? I asked. They looked at each other again. Then the woman said, the individual Lucy thought she was talking to does not exist. The photos, the messages, everything was fake. Jack created it. I looked at her for a moment. So Jack tricked her pretending to be someone else? Yes. And she found out here at work? When? Yesterday afternoon. Witnesses say it got ugly. There was material damage. They reviewed the messages that morning, and that led them to me, since I was mentioned repeatedly. I leaned back in the chair. Processing it wasn't the right word. I wasn't surprised nor pleased. It was more like watching a bad foreign movie in silence when you already know the plot, because you read it on the internet. Understood, I said. They asked if I wanted to add anything to their records. I took a thin folder from my bag, the hotel receipt, the card statement, and a printed log of the WhatsApp messages I had exported. Nothing graphic, just dates and names that matched what they already knew. This covers everything on my end, I said, sliding it towards them. The HR woman glanced at the first page, nodded once, and set it aside. They said the company would handle the internal investigation, and I wasn't expected to participate beyond that. Lucy was suspended while the process lasted. Jack too. I stood up, shook their hands, thanked them for informing me, and left. Leaving that building, I felt calm, like when you've already decided to quit and the boss finally announces layoffs. There is no more surprise, only the paperwork remains. That same afternoon, my phone vibrated. Unknown number again. This time it was Lucy. I am outside. We need to talk, she said. I remained seated at my desk. You left, Lucy. You already know the rule. That was the deal. Silence on the other end for a moment. You're really not going to let me in? No, I said. You left for him. Can you talk to me from the same sidewalk you left on? She tried to argue, raising her voice about how I didn't understand, how she had been humiliated, how Jack had lied to her about everything. I let her speak and then said, you packed a bag before all that. The humiliation came after. The decision came first. She started crying then, demanding I listen to her version. Can you send it by mail? I said calmly, just as HR did. And that was it. I hung up. I closed my laptop, locked the bolt, and slept well. Lucy didn't call the next day. She sent some messages, long texts, walls of words about how I didn't understand, how Jack tricked her, how we could fix it if I just listened to her. I didn't answer because the night she left with that bag, I told her what would happen. The door remained closed afterwards, and it wasn't a metaphor. On the 3rd day, she returned. This time she didn't knock. She just called from the sidewalk with a tense, irritated voice. Are you serious? Are you really going to ignore me like this? I was still at my desk with headphones on work calls. I told you the rule before you left. The same boundary stands today too. This is my house too, she blurted out angrily. It was, I said, clicking back to my spreadsheet. Past tense. Try the hotel. They let you do easy check-in there. She cursed. She said something about lawyers. I replied she should bring one. The door wouldn't open anyway. After a minute of screaming, she left. I continued with my normal life. Work, gym, supermarket. The apartment remained clean. I slept well. The third morning, my phone rang with an unknown number. It was Angela from HR again. This time she sounded less rehearsed, more tired. She asked me to come back. I said yes. When I arrived, they didn't even try to make small talk. There was a security guard present in a folder twice as thick as the previous one. Angela explained everything. Lucy had appeared at the office demanding Jack clear her name because the catfishing rumor had spread. Jack refused, claiming she always knew what was happening. There was a loud argument in the lobby, employees recording with their phones. Lucy tried to snatch his bag with the laptop, screaming she had proof. Jack pushed her hand away. Security intervened before it got worse. Apparently, half the department witnessed it. Company policy stated that any physical altercation implied immediate suspension while investigated. Lucy was already suspended, and Jack received the same treatment. The internal investigation confirmed Jack had created multiple fake profiles using company systems and that it wasn't just with Lucy. There were more target employees. Now the legal department and the police were involved. Jack hadn't just tricked Lucy. He had created at least 3 more fake accounts to manipulate 2 other employees. Although they didn't fall into the trap, HR classified it as a pattern of harassment. I nodded as if they were reading me the weather forecast. Understood, I said. When I returned home, Lucy was waiting for me at the building door, with crossed arms and sunglasses, as if she could win an argument with attitude alone. You told HR everything, right? She blurted out. I raised an eyebrow. Everything like what? The receipt for the hotel you booked with our joint card, or the part where you packed a bag for a guy who doesn't exist? Her jaw tightened. This is humiliating for me. Yes, I replied, opening the door behind me. Running off for a ghost usually does that. She stepped forward as if wanting to follow me, but I stopped her with a hand on the doorframe. Read my lips, Lucy. The door stays closed afterwards. That means you don't live here anymore. You are unbelievable, she blurted out with rage. I know, I said. I pay rent on time, and I don't cheat on anyone. Crazy world, right? I closed the door and locked the bolt. She hit it once with her hand and left furious. 2 days later, HR called me again, since he had been officially fired not only for catfishing, but for harassment, misuse of systems, and inappropriate conduct at work. Apparently, one of his fake profiles had crossed the line into harassment with another female employee. The legal department was reviewing charges. Lucy's file wasn't better. Between the hotel plans on work devices, public fights, and objects thrown in the office, the company terminated her contract with just cause. That meant no severance and no references. Angela's exact words were, "It's one of the messiest internal cases we've seen in years." I believed her. That night, Lucy wrote to me from a new number. You ruined my life. I replied, you packed the bag, Lucy. Jack simply didn't exist. She sent 3 more messages saying I was cold and heartless. I didn't answer because at that point everything was simple math. She left, the door stayed closed. Everything else was consequences piling up exactly where they should. After Lucy lost her job, things didn't calm down as I thought. She didn't live here anymore. The door remained closed. I made that very clear to her. But she started calling from different numbers, leaving extremely long voicemails about how Jack ruined everything and how I was cruel for not listening to her. I saved them in a folder named Complaints, right next to the hotel receipt and the HR emails. A week after her firing, HR called me again. This time Angela didn't sound tired. She sounded upset. Just updating you, said legal. Confirmed multiple complaints against Jack from other female employees. They found fake profiles targeting 2 more women. He used company devices for everything. Criminal charges? I asked. Being reviewed, she said. Harassment, identity theft, maybe more. The police have copies of the evidence. Apparently Jack didn't just trick Lucy for fun. He had a whole hobby. Fake numbers, fake photos, even a spreadsheet on his work laptop logging who he wrote to and when. HR said one of the women had already filed a restraining order after seeing the logs. Jack thought he was pulling some kind of genius prank. Now he had detectives reading his group chats. 2 nights later, Lucy appeared again in front of the building. This time she brought her sister as backup. I received a message. We are downstairs. You owe me a conversation. I replied, I'm pretty sure I owe you nothing. except an empty mailbox. Her sister wrote to me afterwards. Adrian, she lost everything. You could at least talk to her. I answered. She should talk to the hotel about refunds. The door is still closed. They didn't like it. Lucy screamed from the sidewalk for 10 minutes straight. I peeked out the window once and said, "Careful, Lucy. Last time you screamed at a man in public, you lost your job." After that, she left. Meanwhile, Jack's world was crumbling faster than hers. The company filed charges after closing the internal investigation, not only for harassment, but also for misuse of computer systems, workplace misconduct, and data policy violations. I heard through someone from Lucy's old building that Jack was arrested for refusing to hand over his personal laptop. The police obtained a warrant and confiscated it. Apparently, he had fake accounts created months ago. His mugshot appeared on a local news site a few days later. Employee accused in online harassment scheme. I felt nothing seeing it. I just saved the link in case someone asked someday why Lucy lost her job. Lucy wrote again after the arrest. "This is humiliating. Everyone knows now." I replied, "Actions have consequences. You chose yours." She answered, "Are you enjoying this?" I told her, "No. I just stopped protecting you from the math you did yourself." She didn't reply again after that. While all this was happening, I dedicated myself to closing the marriage. I canceled joint streaming accounts, removed her name from utilities, moved half the savings to a new account solely in my name, and initiated legal separation proceedings with a lawyer recommended by a coworker. Clean, efficient, no drama. Lucy tried to delay things at first, saying by message she needed time to process. My lawyer sent her copies of the timeline. Hotel reservation, HR emails, termination notices, everything dated and ordered. She signed everything in a week. The divorce decree wouldn't arrive until several months later. Most states have waiting periods, but with the separation, everything financial and legal was resolved. 2 weeks later, Lucy appeared for the last time. She didn't call before, didn't write, simply was standing outside when I returned from work. "You really closed the door on me in my own life?" she said with crossed arms. I shrugged. "No, you handed me the keys when you left for a guy who didn't exist." She looked at me with rage. "You didn't even fight for us, Lucy." I told her, "You weren't kidnapped. You packed a bag, made a reservation, and lied about it. After that, there is no fight, only paperwork." She tried to move forward when I opened the door, but I blocked her with my foot. "The door stays closed afterwards," I reminded her. "You are unbelievable," she blurted out. "I know," I said. "I pay rent, file taxes, and don't cheat on people. Wild concept, isn't it?" She didn't look at me as if expecting a big fight scene. I gave her nothing. In the end, she left. That same day, HR sent me a last update. Jack, formally fired with cause. Lucy's firing, closed without possibility of appeal. Police investigation ongoing regarding Jack. Angela thanked me for my cooperation as if we had finished a project together. I archived the email with the others. When the final decree arrived, nothing between us had changed, except the date on the papers. Friends asked if I was angry, if I wanted revenge. I told them, no, I wasn't angry, I was done. Big difference, because anger means you are still in it, and I was no longer. The decree arrived 2 weeks after Lucy's last visit. Signed, filed, finalized. No arguments over money, no fights over furniture. She kept what she took the first weekend. I kept everything else. My lawyer sent me the confirmation email with a single line in the subject. Case closed. That was all the closure I needed. Lucy tried one more time. She wrote from another number, as if changing the digits changed the result. "We should at least talk like adults," I replied. "Adults respect boundaries. Try again in the next life." She didn't like it. She started sending long messages about how Jack ruined her reputation, how at her old job they still talked about the cup-throwing incident. I didn't say anything because none of that was my problem. She packed the bag. Everything that came after was just math. The following week, a coworker from Lucy's old department sent me a photo of a poster stuck near the office, one of those HR bulletins about workplace conduct and harassment complaints. At the bottom, in fine print, it said, "If you or someone you know was affected by recent events, resources are available through." They didn't mention Jack or Lucy's names, but everyone knew. Apparently, the company brought in a consultant to give a talk on appropriate communication at work. I heard they forced everyone to watch a 20-minute video on professional boundaries while Jack's mugshot circulated in group chats. Meanwhile, Jack's case advanced quickly. Local news published another article about the harassment charges after police found more fake profiles on his personal laptop. Some were years old. One of the profiles even used photos of a real person he had taken from social media. Detectives called it large-scale online identity theft. I simply called it consequences. He had a trial date scheduled for the next month. After that article came out, Lucy sent me another email. People keep asking if I was involved. This is humiliating. I replied, "You made the hotel reservation, Lucy. He simply didn't exist." There was no response after that. Around the same time, my building manager told me Lucy had stopped by asking if she could enter the apartment while I was at work, saying she had left some things. He replied, "No, building policy, that only tenants listed on the lease have keys." Apparently, she got upset and started shouting in the lobby. He handed her my lawyer's business card and left. That was the last time she tried to enter. I, for my part, kept moving forward. I completely closed the old joint account. I opened a new one solely in my name. I changed the Wi-Fi password, the ones for streaming platforms, even the Netflix profile icon she used. Not out of spite, I was just clearing the board. I replaced the sofa we had chosen together with one I really liked. I changed the cutlery set because, why not? Little things that made the place feel mine instead of ours. One Friday night, I came home and found a letter stuck to the door. It was from Lucy. The first line said, "I deserve a chance to explain myself." The second, "You are being cold and heartless." The third, "I know I made mistakes, but you didn't even fight for us." I didn't finish reading it. I put it directly in the shredder I had bought the previous month for junk mail. Nothing in that envelope could change the fact that she packed a bag for someone else. That was the line. It always would be. A week later, I saw Lucy for the last time by accident. I was buying coffee near the office when she walked in with her sister. She froze seeing me. "Hello," I said. "You look happy," she replied. I took a sip of my coffee. "Yes, boundaries help." Her sister mumbled something about me being a cold guy. "Cold preserves things," I said, "like receipts." Lucy rolled her eyes and left. That was it. At the end of the month, the separation was fully processed. The new lease had only my name, utilities, insurance, bank accounts, everything in my name. Friends asked if I was dating anyone. I said maybe. The truth had gone out to dinner a few times with someone from the accounting department in my building. Quiet, stable, nothing complicated. She didn't ask about the drama, and I didn't offer details. It felt good to leave the past in the past. The last I heard of Jack was through a news link sent to me. Former employee pleads guilty to online harassment charges. He received probation, fines, mandatory therapy, and a ban from using social media for 12 months. Lucy's name didn't appear in the article, but people knew. Later, she posted something on Facebook about starting over and focusing on personal growth. Good for her. It was no longer my business. When everything finally calmed down, one night I sat in my apartment and realized I hadn't thought about the hotel receipt in weeks. The 142.89 that had started that whole mess, just a number on an already closed credit card. Then I deleted the folder with all the evidence, screenshots, emails, receipts. Not because I forgave anyone, but because the story was over. Lucy left. The door remained closed afterwards, and everything else fell exactly where it should. Life became quiet very quickly after the paperwork was closed. No more messages from Lucy, no more calls from HR, no police reviewing Jack's online circus. For the first time since I moved, my apartment really felt like mine. I started going to the gym 3 nights a week, cooking for real instead of ordering food. I even took up running again after years. It was a routine with no room for drama because there was none left, or so I thought. A few months after the divorce, I arrived late from work. There was a car parked in front of my building that I didn't recognize. Lights off, engine on. I didn't give it importance until I opened the door and heard quick steps behind me on the stairs. Lucy, hair tied back, eyes wide open, holding a folder full of papers. "We need to talk," she said, breathing heavily, as if she had run. I left a hand on the doorframe. Bold move showing up uninvited. She pushed the folder towards my chest. "They are statements from people at my old job. Jack lied about everything. I can prove it." I didn't take the folder. "Lucy, Jack faces probation and fines. HR fired both of you. None of that will make your bag enter my apartment again." She blinked quickly, as if she hadn't heard me. You could tell people I'm not a bad person, that I was manipulated. I leaned on the frame. The hotel receipt shows you made the reservation before the manipulation. It ruins your argument a bit. Her jaw tightened. You love humiliating me, don't you? I said. I just stopped helping you avoid it. She pushed the folder against my chest. I let it fall to the ground. The door stays closed afterwards, Lucy, I told her. That includes today. She looked at me as if she wanted a fight. I didn't give it to her. After a long minute, she went down the stairs and raged, mumbling something about lawyers she couldn't afford. I picked up the folder. Every page talked about Jack. Nothing changed the fact that she packed that bag on her own. I put it directly in the shredder. 2 weeks later, the drama found me again, but this time not because of Lucy. Jack's case appeared for the last time in the news when the sentence came out. Probation, fines, social media ban for 12 months with device monitoring. The judge described his behavior as a calculated pattern of deception. Reporters interviewed 2 of his other victims outside the court. One of them mentioned Lucy by name, saying she ruined her own life chasing someone who wasn't real. That clip circulated on local networks. People tagged me in it as if I needed the update. I watched it once in silence and closed the app. Lucy must have seen it too because a few days later she appeared outside my office building. Just as I was leaving, there she was by the curb with crossed arms. Did you see what people are saying about me? She demanded. I adjusted my backpack strap. Yes, I saw it. It seems freedom of speech is alive and kicking. Could you defend me? She said. Tell them I'm not crazy. I raised an eyebrow. Lucy, you screamed at Jack in a crowded lobby and threw a cup at his head. I'm pretty sure the video speaks for itself. She looked around as if expecting someone to come rescue her. Passers-by kept walking. You enjoy this, don't you? She snapped. No, I replied. Enjoyment requires effort. I'm just watching the weather. She didn't like that answer. She called me heartless again before leaving furious in a rideshare car that probably wasn't in her name. 3 weeks later, I received a letter by mail from an online reputation service. Apparently, Lucy had hired them to repair her digital footprint. They asked me if I wanted to provide a positive statement about her character for their records. I laughed so hard I almost dropped the envelope. I shredded it along with the previous folder. Meanwhile, my life kept moving forward. At work, I was promoted to lead a new project, bigger team, better salary. I moved part of my savings to an account for a down payment on a house, because becoming an owner again was starting to sound good. I started dating the building accountant more seriously. No drama, no games, just normal dinners and weekends, no police reports or calls from HR. The last time I saw Lucy was at the supermarket 6 months after the divorce. I was grabbing coffee when she turned the corner with a cart half full of cheap wine and frozen meals. She looked at me, looked at the woman who was with me, and smiled with that gesture of someone who wants to have the last word. I hope she likes spreadsheets and ultimatums, she said. I smiled. She likes honesty. Big change, right? Lucy's smile disappeared instantly. She turned down the next aisle without saying anything else. After that, silence. No calls, no letters, no surprise visit. Jack disappeared from the news after completing his probation. Lucy stopped posting motivational quotes on Facebook. My building switched to digital keys, so even if she tried, she couldn't get past the lobby without a guest code. One night, I deleted the last files from the hard drive. Receipts, chat logs, the hotel bill, everything. Not because I forgave anyone, but because there was nothing left to keep. She packed a bag for someone who didn't exist. I closed the door afterwards. Everything else was just gravity doing its job.